Whole stones. At the crossroads where Jesus' teachings and his story meet the questions and struggles people face in real life. The name whole stones comes from Deuteronomy 26:7, a verse that says that the altar in the temple is to be constructed out of whole stones. In other words, stones that have not been cut or shaped in any way with tools. I chose the name Whole Stones for a blog about Jesus and his teachings because it offers an excellent illustration of my belief that Jesus' teachings and his story need to be understood within the context of Second Temple Judaism. Rabbinic sources record a homily based on Deuteronomy 26:7, in which it explains that the altar was to be constructed of whole stones, avanim shlemot in Hebrew, because these stones that are whole, shlemot, create peace, shalom, between Israel and their Father in heaven. It seems to me that an early form of this ancient Jewish homily on Deuteronomy 26:7 and the whole stones of the altar must stand behind several of Jesus' teachings. For instance, Jesus taught that anyone who brings a gift to the altar but realizes that his brother has something against him must first go and make peace with his brother. The logic behind this teaching seems to be that the altar is made of whole stones, stones that make peace between God and Israel. Therefore, every Israelite ought to be at peace with his brother in order for his offering to be accepted. The whole stones of the altar require peace between God and Israel and Israelites and their brothers. Another form of the ancient Jewish homily on the stones of the altar says that if the stones must be shlemot, whole or perfect, then so much more ought the sons of Torah, that is, Israelites, to be shlemim, whole or perfect. Very likely, this understanding of shlemim, whole, perfect, or possibly peacemakers, stands behind Jesus saying that his disciples are to be perfect, whole peacemakers. All word plays on the word shalom, shlemim, shlemot. A third form of the ancient Jewish homily on the stones of the altar comes from Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai. Yochanan ben Zakkai was a Jewish sage who lived in the 1st century and who survived the destruction of Jerusalem. Yochanan ben Zakkai belonged to that branch of the Pharisee party that believed that war with Rome was a mistake, that we ought to seek for peace. According to Yochanan ben Zakkai, if the stones of the altar are to remain shlemot, whole, uncut by tools, then so also ought peacemakers to be left whole, shlemim, uncut by weapons of war. Probably Yochanan ben Zakkai's form of the homily is a critique of the extremist Jewish nationalists who were in favor of the revolt against Rome. Oftentimes they would take up arms against their fellow Jews, threatening them and sometimes killing them if they did not support the revolt against Rome. Yochanan ben Zakkai says that if stones, which are not alive, are to be left whole, then so much more ought peacemakers to be left whole. Yochanan ben Zakkai's saying about the whole stones and peacemakers sounds similar to Jesus' teaching about peacemakers and people he called the sons of peace, people who were receptive to the message of his apostles who went about proclaiming peace to Israel. It is likely that just as Yochanan ben Zakkai was critical of the militant Jewish nationalists who provoked the revolt against Rome, so Jesus was sending a message to his people prior to the revolt that they should not pursue a policy that would end in the temple's destruction. The relationship of so many of Jesus' teachings to an ancient Jewish homily on the whole stones of the altar suggests that Jesus had a very close relationship with the temple and the sacrificial system. Apparently, Jesus believed that offerings made on the altar of whole stones were an important expression of Jewish faith, one that led to peacemaking between Israel and their Father in heaven, and between Israel and their fellow man. To learn more about the topics we've discussed in this video, I encourage you to check out 2 essays on the wholestones.org blog, Whole Stones That Make Peace and Perfect Children.